Welcome. How is everyone virtually, right? So a little funny to be coming through on Zoom again, but do want to welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your work schedule. I am super excited for this event. Oh my gosh, every single year that we have the men on, it's always such a treat. So we are excited to have you to honor the Chandler Lifestyle 2020 Men of Chandler of the Year. Thanks for being here, fellows. The
Thank you.
Leadership mission statement is to empower and propel women into business success through education, networking, and mentor programs. I would like to take the opportunity to take the time to thank all of our sponsors. Education and mentoring is Toyota Financial and Intel Services. Showcase sponsor is PayPal. Venue sponsor, Soho 63. I don't know about you, but I do look forward to the day that I'll get to Soho. And supporting sponsors, Wells Fargo, as well as APA. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the women and men on the Women in Leadership Committee for bringing us this wonderful event every single month. And those are Debbie Salas with Intel Corporation. She also is the co-chair of Women in Leadership. Gina Lebend with Anchor Moments, Dia Kobos, Toyota Financial Services. Crystal Blackwell with Crystal Clear Results Life Coaching. Lisa Scott with PAL. Lance Hashman with Global Wealth Strategies. Kern with personal stylist with Cabby Clothing. I'd like to now introduce my friend and also CEO and President, Terry Kimball. So with that, we'll pass it over to Terry. Hi.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I know that we can see the panelists that are on here, and I appreciate all of you joining us. And we are recording today's because I really think this is one of my favorite programs that we do. And growing up, this is my 30th year in the chamber world. And when I know 30 years, I started when I was little. No, but when I started in chamber work, I didn't have any female mentors and I only had male mentors. So I firmly believe that great mix in each of you, when you read your stories, I was just glad to be a part of this program with Chandler Lifestyles. Joyce Selk and her team just knock it out of the park every single year, whether it's the women or the men. There are so many great people in our community, and each and every one of you should be honored because there's a special reason why you were nominated and that you are serving on here, and so well deserved. And I want people to get to know you. So Joyce, at this time, before I start interviewing some of our panelists, Joyce, talk a little bit about Chandler Lifestyles and just this whole process, because this is a pretty amazing program that you've put together.
Well, thanks, Terry, and I'm sorry I'm not on camera, everyone, but good morning. I'm happy to be here, really excited to share with you a little bit of information about some of these great guys from our community and all the good things that they're doing. When we started this a few years ago, the focus of the magazine is always on keeping the community connected and just spotlighting some of the positive things that are going on around us. So we decided we would have this program with the women being selected in May and the men in June. And every year I think, oh, are we tapped out, and are we going to get nominees? And I'm always thrilled at the number of nominations that we receive, and every year it seems to get harder and harder. This year with the men was a real treat for me because I personally did not know a lot of these men, so it was fun to read their stories and get to know them a little better. And I think that it's always a diverse group, and by that I mean we have everything from obviously an educator to a first responder with both our chiefs this year. We have business owners, we have philanthropists, entrepreneurs. It's just always fun and exciting. And so I hope we get to keep this going for a long time. I know we have so many more people that we would like to introduce you to and help you get to know. So I'm excited to hear from these guys today.
Great. Thank you so much, Joyce. And I just want to do a huge shout out. When I tell you to trust me, there was a reason. I know all of these men on here, and they have made a significant impact in our community. And there's a reason for that. And I love their behind the scenes stories. So that's what I can't wait to get into. So at this time, we're going to, let me introduce our first one for today, Mr. Peter Shaka. We are going to start with you. Peter is an entrepreneur, importer, and developer. He does it all, and you'll get to hear a little bit about that. It has been a long and interesting road for Peter to get to where he is today. At the age of 20, he found himself a broke Grand Canyon University student delivering pizzas to make ends meet. And when his application for school loans was declined, he was desperate for another income. Being a risk taker, he moved to Taiwan to teach English. Over the next 2 decades, he started a business, married, and had 2 amazing boys, and relocated back to the United States, where he earned both his BS and MBA. Peter has been a prominent stakeholder in downtown Chandler for over 20 years. And Peter, obviously I know you very well personally, and your better half is absolutely amazing. But one of the things that people don't know about you is you really are a serial entrepreneur. And there's nothing from the glass place to the retail to taking a distressed gem in our community and really seeing that vision. So talk to us a little bit about how living abroad helped prepare you in building your business, because you just really do think out of the box.
Thank you, Terry. First, I want to thank you for hosting this, and thank you, Joyce, for your great publication, being a part of our community. I'm humbled, I'm honored to be among these great men. Some I know very well, some not so well, but they're all amazing men, so I'm very humbled. And Terry, to answer your question, I think living abroad, I went overseas to Taiwan. I learned Mandarin. I learned another culture. But what I realized learning another culture, I learned about my own culture and how great our culture is, but also the areas where we're lacking. Some of it has to do with taking care of elders, where we don't respect elders like they do in Asia. And so my wife left January 22nd. She's in Taiwan taking care of her father who has pancreatic cancer. But that's a gift that she's giving back because she was raised that way. And so living overseas was eye-opening. So about family values, right? I grew up in a Christian home, went to North Phoenix Baptist Church, went to Scottsdale Christian Academy in my younger years. And so I had a great foundation, but that foundation was somewhat, it wasn't skewed. My eyes were open when I went to Taiwan. I went to a non-denominational church, and I was with a Presbyterian and a Lutheran and a Catholic. And there were people that were not arguing about differences in religion, but they were there to celebrate and to do good and be good in their community. So being overseas was at 20, it made me grow up real quick. And so if you know me well, you know me, Terry, I'm still a big kid, right? I'm 52 years old. I'm still a big kid, but I grew up in certain ways that I could not have if I did not go overseas. And how that relates to my business relationships, that relates to the way I look at a piece of property. You know, having lived in Asia for 10 years, but have traveled the world for 30 years, I've seen a lot. And every time I come back rejuvenated. Like, how come our downtown can't do this? And how come we can't do that? How come we can't have a glass shop, you know, in kind of a blighted area at the time, you know? And I don't take any credit for, at the time, Uptown Bridal coming, but I feel like some of the folks, and they said, well, Peter put a glass shop in, we could, you know, do our business there. So I give credit where credit's due. Is Niels Krepke and Desert Viking who did the original kind of redevelopment. He had a tenant called 98. So I saw life, and that life, I wanted to be a part of that energy. So living overseas really gave me opportunity to want to share. And so I'm full of energy. I am a serial entrepreneur, but I really think, and I don't mean to be funny or crass, but I think I have ADHD, and I don't know how to function without having many balls in the air. And Sigrid's the one that usually catches those balls when I misjuggle. So if you know her, she's the one that keeps me in line and catches all the juggles that I do.
Oh, that is true. And I'm laughing because I do know that. So one of the other things that, you've done a lot of pretty ingenious things. You've created and designed glass bottles for different, um, um, entities such as, Vicky's Vodka and some of those types of things. How do you come up with some of the things that you do?
So a lot of what I do, and I think a lot of the other panelists will share the same, you have to be passionate about what you do. So a lot of what I've done has happened because of passion. So, I moved back from the States. My dad at the time, 22 years ago had cancer, and I wanted him to know my boys who were born overseas. So I started pushing the fact that I was doing glassware in Taiwan. I was doing ceramics in Taiwan. And so I approached liquor companies, and the liquor companies liked the product, and they told their friends. And a liquor company had a product in TGI Fridays, and TGI Fridays told Red Robin. And so every time I did something, I tried to be the fastest and the best and the most creative. And so at our peak, we were in over 3,000 restaurants across the country. And someone said, yeah, there's this guy in Chandler who can do, the Real Housewives of Orange County. He'll do your bottle for you. So whether it be bottles or Cantina Laredo, Red Robin, Coca-Cola, a lot of what we did out of passion. And the retail shop was a side note. It really was a glorified showroom. People maybe didn't even know that retail wasn't our main business. It was because we needed a pretty showroom. We didn't need it, but we had it. And so in our community, we wanted to share our passion for our wholesale customers, but on a smaller boutique scale. So some of those things have allowed me to develop property in downtown. I've been flattered by the partnership with the city of Chandler. When an opportunity comes and I'm a bidder or a respondent to an RFP, if it's the former ICANN property, I think being in downtown Chandler for 20 years, I've built somewhat of an okay reputation where the city's, all right, I think he's going to do this, and I think it's going to be okay. And then we're proud. It really takes a village. It takes you, Terry. It takes Joyce. It takes the city of Chandler. It takes my wife. It takes a village. But I think people want to support the fact that I'm not here for the short-term gain. I'm not here for how much money can I squeeze out of this property, which is probably not the best way to run a business, but I'm always long-term.
Great. Well, thank you, Peter, and congratulations on your nomination as a man of Chandler. So our next one, Brandon Bagley, we're going to jump to you. Brandon is the owner of Alpha Graphics of Chandler, Gilbert, and Scottsdale. Brandon has always been known for his willingness to help in any way he can. And it's funny, the very first time I met Brandon when I first came to the chamber and trying to learn a little bit, it wasn't about the chamber, and I was trying to learn about him. He just kept wanting to know, how can he give back? How can he give back? And that is true. When he isn't running 3 Alpha Graphics locations, he spends his time being part of the community, and that speaks volumes. He sits on the board of ICANN, which you've actually been a very huge supporter of ICANN and have been integral in the development and as it continues to grow. He's also involved with the Chandler Compadres and a sponsor of the Chandler Education Foundation. He launched an Alpha Graphics campaign where when he sent out a request for nonprofits to submit grants, he awards about $10,000 total to about 6 local organizations. His passion for helping others, and he loves the idea of helping companies grow and establish relationships. That doesn't even start to, anybody who knows you knows that once you talk to him, he's infectious. He's all about paying it forward. So, Brandon, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How on earth do you run 3 businesses all at once?
It's not always easy. Certainly in today's climate, it's not easy. But it's one of those things. I couldn't do it without a great team. That's number one as a business owner. I think the biggest responsibility is find the right people to surround you. I think as business owners, we always feel like we have to wear all the hats at all times. And yes, you wear a lot of hats. But the important thing, and I think the most important hat to wear is that of recruiter, and finding the right people to be on that team, the right people that have your back at all times. Even when my business was 4 people, and I only had my Gilbert location, I never once felt like, and many of my peers do, that that I couldn't leave the office and be gone for an extended period of time. You have to have the right people to surround you, to be able to leave the office, to be able to be involved in the community. If you don't have that kind of a balance and being able to get away, it's just not possible.
Well, and Brandon, you know how I feel about Shelby and her team, and I know you've been instrumental in that. And we're going to hear from Ted a little bit later from ICANN. But you've had a successful track record as an entrepreneur. What advice would you share with a new business owner today?
Yeah, I asked me that question 3 months ago. It might be a different answer than today. I think it's, I think one of the biggest things, when adversity happens, you have to try and find a way to stay positive. You have to, you don't hide from that adversity, but you have to try and find a way to find the good in it, and to continue. And I touched on it before. I think the easiest way is to have that big, strong team behind you that you're able to rely upon and not feel like you have to, bear the brunt of it all by yourself. Yes, end of the day, the tough decisions are mine, but it's because of the team that we have together that you're able to make those tough decisions and last through a time like we're going through right now.
Well, and Brandon, I just have to say, you have created that culture within your locations, and you're very strategic about that. Even in your employees, it's about paying it forward. Wouldn't you say that's correct?
Absolutely. I said it before. For me, it's about the balance. Certainly, as a business owner, I could work more hours than I do, and be in the office more time than I am, and maybe there would be more success in that. But I made that determination early on that I'm willing to forgo maybe some additional success for a work-life balance and being able to be involved in the community. I've been involved in a number of things over the years, and even had CEO of Alpha Graphics Corporate question me on why I spend so much time outside of my business and not in the business. And I'm a strong believer in the more time that you spread your time out and are involved in the community, the more energized you get for your own business. So for me, it's a commitment that you have to be involved in the community. You have to be aware of what's going on. And that doesn't take away from, it adds to the fuel and the fire to continue to operate and live and work in this community.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for what you do, and continue to lead by example. We need more business people just like you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really humbled by the honor.
At this time, we are going to jump to the crazy man, Mr. David Speck. David?
I'm here. Yeah. Hi, Terry. Hi, everybody.
David is a producer of Improv Mania Comedy Club and the vice president of Chandler Youth Theater. And this guy is he is our own Chandler Energizer bunny because he is nonstop. He was a recruiting manager for a Fortune 500 company, and in 2014, he opened Improv Mania Comedy Club. And in 2018, he launched Chandler Youth Theater under the Improv Mania umbrella. It became his own nonprofit in 2019. In addition to performing himself and running his business, he also is another big gives back to the community. He's been busy mentoring youth groups by teaching them improv workshops, presenting workshops at schools, and speaking to students during career days. He also volunteers at Camp Tati. Is that correct, David?
Tadia, close enough.
Tadia, a camp for those with congenital and/or physical disabilities in Sholo each summer. Financially, last year, Improv Mania donated over $15,000 worth of tickets to nonprofits for fundraising. Plus, Chandler's Youth Theater has a scholarship program. And anybody who knows David, he is one that he always makes me laugh. Even on my bad days, I go to his post on social media or look at what he's doing, and he makes me laugh. In fact, I just have to do a shout out. He did, if you haven't been watching his Friday night shows, one of the funniest ones is when he took hot sauce from Sibley's Do you want to talk about what you did with that one before we get into your question?
Yeah, sure. Well, we turned our shows into fundraisers. We do our shows live on Friday nights now instead of doing them at the theater since we closed in the middle of March. And we did a fundraiser, and to keep the audience engaged, I went to Sibley's and asked them what hot sauces they had, and they had they have a board. It's like a torture board, 1 through 12, and I guess the level 12 is essentially what they put in pepper spray. So I went all the way to 12 levels while trying to host a show. So I'll do anything to keep levity going. So
Well, and you have to go back and watch the clip because he's trying to do this show and you see these sweat pellets coming off of his head because it was really hot sauce.
that was hot. We should do this show that way.
There you go.
To keep it energizing. We got to hurry up. You let Peter go first, and Peter took all the time. So I know we only have a limited amount of time. You got to pay him last if it's a time limit. So
no, we've got time. So Vina, talk a little bit about the current environment. You mentioned it briefly, but you have really been innovative and creative on what you've brought to Improv Mania and how you've pivoted, and you continue to make us laugh. So,
yeah, I guess the word of the pandemic is pivot, or innovate. So we kind of had to innovate our way out of it. We were under, theaters, bars, and restaurants and gyms all closed on the same day, and we had to do something online. So we had to figure out the online format. If anybody knows me, I'm not a real tech guy, but right now I'm sitting in my home studio that I've built and learned how to use. So our shows have had to innovate. We did the same thing with the youth theater. I think that was the most challenging piece. Is a lot of the kids were really, really bummed that they weren't going to perform their shows. We were in the middle of Moana, and we were in the middle of High School Musical for the teens. And what we did is we turned those into videos. So all the kids submitted their parts, they recorded them at home, and then we spliced them together and kind of made a movie out of them. So to me, I'm a big boy. I can take innovating, but these little kids, they were all just so crushed. But it turns out that we were able to have a world premiere, on Facebook Live and show all their families from across the country the videos and the little movies that they put together. So, to me, the fact that we've been able to innovate and not just buckle has been good. It's extremely challenging. It continues to be. So, we're happy to still be swinging.
Well, and what's amazing to me is when you take a look at the men of Chandler that were selected, how many of you touch youth and how you are inspiring youth. So congratulations, David, on that. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. Our next one that we are going to jump through, and I know we've got both chiefs joining us, but before we go to both chiefs here, just a moment, we are going to jump to Dr. Craig Gilbert with Chandler Unified School District. Dr. Gilbert, and of course, I'm proud he's on our board of directors, but Dr. Gilbert is the Assistant Superintendent of Chandler Unified. And Dr. Gilbert is a University of Arizona alumni and has had many years of experience in the education system, from starting his career in teaching and coaching to serving on the administration team at Hamilton High. In 2012, he was named Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, and he is responsible for supervising 7 junior high schools, 6 high schools, and 2 alternative schools, totaling over 21,000 students. Wow. As one of 7 children of a blue-collar assemblyman who never missed a day of work, he believes it is important, hard work, stay grounded, and put God and family first. He loves his work to work in his yard and bike along the canals with his lungs. So congratulations, Dr. Gilbert.
Thank you very much.
So growing up with a family of 7 children, how has that prepared you in your current role with over 21,000 students?
I guess I'd say, how does it not? All right, there's 5 boys and 2 girls in my family. I'm the second of the youngest in between sisters. There's times where you might be a leader. There's times you're in the support role, and I think both of them are important. And I think when I look at what I do within Chandler, that is really important. You know, my title is assistant superintendent, but I always remind people it's like being at the building. I'm the assistant principal of the district, right? And our focus is how do we serve our families and our students. I believe in being a servant leader. And so I think, you know, being in a family of 7 kids, there's a lot of collaboration. It's a lot of working together, and everybody doesn't see it the same way. But, you know, ultimately, when you're looking at what you want to do, it's taking everybody's input and figuring out how do you move as a group. You know, I'm really proud to be in Chandler because I was fortunate. I just finished my 22nd year in the district. And of those 22 years, 20 of them I've been an administrator. So I've seen the district grow. And so I've been real fortunate to see also the city grow, but it still seems like that small town family in connecting with people. And so I think I look at that the same way I look at my family of being such a big family. My dad still lives in the house they moved into 3 months before I was born. So I like the sticking to a place and a location, and I've been pretty fortunate. So being in the district where, you know, we were working with, you know, other leaders within our district to really make sure that we're supporting our families, I think it's that same approach. You know, I look at it as if it were my kids, which my kids have grown up and graduated through our schools, what would I want us to do? And so I've always approached, you know, how I do my job in the district the same way.
One of the things that, and obviously I know you on a personal level as well, but one of the things that really resonated when I first met you is your commitment to youth and accountability. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think, you know, it's important to establish accountability. I think youth want some boundaries, they want some understanding, they want some flexibility, but I think it's important that, you know, if we want our youth to grow up to be strong young men and women, then there needs to be accountability, you know, but it's establishing that up front so they understand, you know, these are the things that I'm going to be required to do, but at the same time, showing them what I would say is showing them some love at the same time to help guide them and not just say, okay, you're going to be accountable to something and there's going to be no assistance to help guide you to get you there. And so I think it's very important. And so when I look at what we do within the district, you know, that the accountability is there, but it's the accountability at the same time of always giving support to let them know that they're also cared for and there's people there to help them.
All right. Well, congratulations. And I do have to have one more question. Where did your son decide to go to college?
My son's going to go to Rocky Mountain College in Montana. It's going to be a little cold, but he's going to go up there. He's going to play football, and his focus is he wants to do law.
Great. Well, congratulations on your recognition, and congratulations on all the work that you do at the school. It's really important. So
thank you very much. Very appreciated.
All right. Our next one, we're going to jump to our chiefs because I know that your time is limited, not that everybody else's, but thank you for joining us. And so, of course, knowing both of our chiefs, who's going to go first?
I'll defer to the younger one.
I prefer
my junior. My junior.
You mean the taller one?
Oh, I love the bantering back and forth. And this is how they are in real life. Trust me. So we're going to have the younger go first. Is that correct? All right. So let's start with Chief Dwiggins.
No, that's Terry. That's me.
You're killing me. Oh boy. All right. We'll have you start.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You guys always do this to me. So, all right. Sean, you're going first now. Our Chief of Police, Sean Duggan. It is the 100th anniversary of the Chandler Police Department, and we are so lucky to have this chief at the helm. especially in these very trying times. His resume and experience are impressive, including his master's degree from ASU and graduation from the FBI National Academy. Before joining the Chandler Police Department in 2014, he had served the Scottsdale Police for 27 years. He's also served on many state and national committees and boards. Chief's father was a police officer in New York City, and at an early age, he knew he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. Sean, it was an honor for that he was appointed as Chandler's Chief of Police. The top priority of the chief is to identify, develop, and promote leaders who play a significant role in shaping our culture and ensuring we meet the challenges of the 21st century policing. The department's leadership team has been in a constant state of transition over the past few years due to retirements and so forth. His empowerment style of leadership has proven to be a success formula in mentoring the next generations of leaders within. And I just have to tell you, so when Chandler had this opening for Chief of Police, and I'm going to share this, and I know I won't embarrass you because you never embarrass, but they had it narrowed down to 5 applicants. And Chief actually came to see me and said, okay, I've heard this from the city about how wonderful the city of Chandler is, and we are wonderful. But I really want to hear it from you and hear also how the business community is. And I will tell you, that spoke volumes to me because it wasn't just about the culture at the police department or the city. He really wanted to hear from the community. And I will tell you, after meeting him, I was on the phone with every single mayor and council and said, you better hire this man, because if he's going to do that much work and research before even starting, that said a lot to me. So congratulations on that. And you know how I feel about that. So since I have the younger of the two here, so Chief, share with us a little bit, because you have received numerous awards throughout the years, and you just spoke at the City Council the other night about some of the recognitions that under your leadership that Chandler Police Department has received. Do you want to share a little bit about that as well as your recent recognition?
Well, what I think is important to share is, when we talk about our department being in a state of transition. But first, let me get back to what you had mentioned about when I met you about over 7 years ago. I was working for a good department, and I wanted to go to another community that valued their police, where the police had a positive relationship with their community, where the police had a level of trust and respect from their community. I had no interest in going somewhere that was broken. So that's why Chandler just rose to the top and made this opportunity as exciting as it was. And as it turns out now, 6 years later, that level of trust and support that the department has had for years before I ever came here, has paid dividends. Pays dividends every day with our relatively low crime rate, where people are working with us to help keep our city safe. But if you ever want to see an example of that paying dividends, that close relationship between police and their community, just look at the past 2 weeks in our city and how the community actually rallied with us. And we've built a lot of capital over the years. And that's done every day, just by those one-on-one encounters. And if anything, it just doubled down our efforts to continue what we have been doing. And that's treating people with respect and dignity, and trying to be at the vanguard of this profession. So we are a model for other agencies. And I would argue that in many ways we are a model for other agencies, but so is our community. We looked at all our folks protesting and demonstrating the 4 or 5 times over the last couple of weeks. We arrested nobody. So great compliance and great, well, that's a reflection on many things, but certainly a reflection on the folks that were compelled to get out and have their voices heard. But they did so in a very lawful and a very orderly fashion. And for that, I just couldn't be more proud of our city and our police department.
So Chief, share with us how your empowerment style of leadership is helping to mentor the next generation of leaders.
Well, as a chief, I am one person out of 505 employees. So obviously I can set a tone, I can maybe identify a vision, but all that means nothing unless people are willing to follow. So by bringing up the next organization or the next level of leadership, by creating that deep bench and give people opportunities for exposure and to be engaged. And I know I flourished as a newer officer when I had those opportunities, and that really resonated with me. So let people be on stage, let them learn from the mistakes, let them learn from mistakes of others, but put them in the arena and give them opportunities to perform. And that's been something that I've held dearly over the years. And I think I think that philosophy is paying dividends here, because we have a lot of folks in our department that have absolutely stood up to the plate and are performing very, very well.
One of the things that really resonates, whether it's police or fire, and I really mean this, but you're involved, whether it's ICANN or the YMCA, the schools, you really touch every part of our community.
Well, as I've said before, you will see Chandler Police embedded throughout the city, whether it's in faith-based arenas or businesses or community engagement. You will see Chandler employees everywhere. And number one, it's a reflection of the city's values. It's not just the police value, but we recognize as a department, we have to earn trust and support. And it's not just those law enforcement related encounters, but it's all those other opportunities we have. And there are thousands a day when you think about it, all those other opportunities to build that trust and support. And that's why you'll see us everywhere in every organization at every event.
Well, congratulations on your recent, with the Chandler, Men of Chandler, your recent nomination. As well as you were also just named, that you didn't tell anybody, as the police chief of the year.
That was in 2019, but I was going to let Tom speak of that because it's one of his favorite subjects.
So before I turn it over to him, is there anything that everybody watching today needs to know about our fire chief that they don't need?
All right.
That's not right, Terry.
I'm going to pass because I don't have the last word. I know better. No, you have an amazing fire chief, and I will say that one of the other draws, in fact, the first person in the city that I reached out to was the fire chief at the time, Jeff Clark, because if the two public safety partners don't get along, that's not a good formula. And I didn't. Again, I was doing my due diligence. Am I going to be a fit in Chandler? And is this a family that I want to be part of? So as much as I was being interviewed, it was a two-way street. And one of the first persons I reached out to was the fire chief to get some insight about the city and the relationship between the PD and fire. Because without that, it's an uphill battle every day. And that hasn't been the case. It's been an incredibly close and respectful relationship. And we work together on many things. Literally every day, we're having conversations about helping to keep our city safe.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that. So, Chief Dwiggins, you get to have the last word.
Yes, we do.
So, thank you very much. Chandler is very fortunate to have you. We are very fortunate, as lucky Chief Tom Dwiggins never outgrew his boyhood excitement for big red trucks, bright lights, and screaming sirens. Chief Dwiggins served as the Chandler Fire Department since 1998, first as a firefighter and a paramedic, and then as the chief officer in 2009. He quickly moved up the rankings in 2014 when he joined the leadership team as assistant chief, then later becoming the City of Chandler's fifth fire chief. Tom is an active member of the International Association of Fire and the United States Air Force veteran. The most rewarding part of his job is serving the men and women of Chandler Fire Department. He states, these professionals spend their entire career serving people that they have never met in what we call the worst day of their life moments. And when they do it with pride, compassion, professionalism, and love for the community, even if it means the end of their own life. I think it's appropriate that my life's work should be to serve them. Something you might not know about Chief Dwiggins is he is a 3-time Arizona State champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a coach at the Gracie Barra Gym, helping future athletes in this sport. So congratulations and welcome. So, in fact, I first met Tom. We actually went through our Chandler Chamber Leadership Program together. We were in the same class, and he was still the jokester, the prankster then. So, all kidding aside, you have shown a love for Chandler. And can you just share a little bit about your passion, where that really does come from, serving others?
Sure. First of all, Terry, thanks for having all of us on. I do have a story about Sean, so let's make sure we save a little bit of time for that. You know, I've always had a passion for the fire service. As you said, as a kid, I can remember, I grew up actually in Glendale, and I can remember the fire department coming to our school. And I loved what they talked about I could see how they worked as a team, and just so many attributes that they had that I really fell in love with at a young age. But I love Chandler Fire Department, and interestingly enough, I grew up on the west side in Glendale with a single mother, and my mom never really talked about my dad's side of the family. So I was working in Tolleson Fire Department at the time. I get hired in the city of Chandler, and I've probably been on the job now. This is probably 99, maybe 2000 for a couple of years. The middle of the night, it's probably 2 a.m. We get dispatched for a call for a person who's in a lot of pain. They had a lot of underlying medical issues. So I'm in this gentleman's bedroom. I'm getting a blood pressure, a pulse, and things like that. And at one point, my captain asked for the patient's name, and he says his name is Jerry, last name Dwiggins. And so we kind of looked at each other. My captain's like, hey, we have a Dwiggins. Well, it turns out that's my uncle, and I had never known him.
Wow.
So like over my entire life, I never really had a tie to Chandler. I always just thought I was a West Side kid, but it turns out my family's been here since 1920. So it's been forever that we've had Dwiggins here in Chandler. And I can tell you that that tie, I don't know how I didn't know it or how it happened, but it's really connected me to this city, and I love it so much.
Well, congratulations. I will tell you, this has been a tough time for both police and fire, and us as a community as a whole. What would you like to share with the community?
Well, I agree with that. I think that obviously, I mean, we're literally in the middle of a pandemic right now. And there's, this is something new for a lot of us. It's, unfortunately, it's very political, and there's a lot of, wherever you get your information from, there's different ideas on what's going on. But I think that the city of Chandler, and our community in particular, is a strong community. We have great community values. I think across the board, leadership from our business community with you, Terry, with all of the different sectors within Chandler is very strong. And if there was ever a city that's well positioned to navigate through these times, it's the city of Chandler. I think we're already seeing that. I think that we're starting to see some of our businesses rebound to some extent. We're so focused on, I think, the negative sometimes that have to do with these pandemics, or this one specifically. But there are so many instances now where neighbors are becoming closer, shopping local, right? How important is that? And everyone knows that now. What a great thing. People that had never used that term before now are like, hey, I want to support our local businesses. I want to get out there. And so, obviously, this has been good. It's overall, we don't want to go through a pandemic, but there are some good things to come out of this. And it's really about valuing community, valuing our private businesses, valuing our neighbors. You see all the good stories of people helping people. And I guess if I have something to say, it is erase all the negativity. look for the positive message, and there are tons of them, especially within our city. So I'm very proud of the city of Chandler and how we're navigating through this right now.
We do have some amazing businesses and people here in our own backyard, and thank you for that. Okay, what would you like to say about?
Okay, so I haven't told Chief Duggan this yet, but because he's the young one, right? So Chief Duggan, my wife wanted my mom to have a copy of this magazine, and so she sent it to my mom. What you need to know is that you have a new fan of somebody that has a crush on you. My mother, she enjoyed my picture, but she couldn't stop talking about you. So there you go.
Well, obviously, she's very wise and bright. And please tell her I said hello.
I will. I'd like you to sign a copy for her. That's what I want.
Right. There you go.
I will.
Okay, Dave, if you don't get these two as a comedy sidekick act for Improv Mania,
Just need to step out of the way and let them hose each other off. Yeah, this is great.
all right. Well, thank you both for being here. Council Member Mark Stewart, we're going to jump to you next. Mark is actually the owner of Concept to Completion, as well as being a Chandler City Council member. And if you know Mark, you know he wears many hats in our community. He is also a serial entrepreneur. From being the owner of the 3 different businesses, C-branded, you got that vibe going on there. He is also an active city council member. Mark finds Chandler an amazing community and always stays involved along with the likes of coaching youth sports and supporting local charities. And I'm going to get to both of our charities because they're both pretty amazing. Mark spends time focused on his family, spiritual, and business growth. He also has a passion for giving back to his community through public service. He has found serving as a council member has been a great way to do that. Mark is a firm believer that servant leadership strives to put the needs of Chandler residents first. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be amongst these gentlemen, and Terry, appreciate your leadership, and thanks for having me. Listen, I've got to tell you, the jobs that our 2 police, our fire chief and our police, Tom and Sean did, and we're still working through some things, was absolutely tremendous. You know, mayor and council, and I think our community really leaned in to our police and into our fire during these times. And I can't say enough. I could probably talk for 20 minutes about the things that they did. And I'll tell you just a real quick story. When everything started happening with the pandemic, back in March and early April, the team that we leaned on and where we turned to was we don't have a public health department. And the information that was coming from the state and from the county and from the CDC was all over the place. We asked Chief Wiggins to lean in and find some clarity for us. And he helped us find some safety in some of the data and just some common sense sort of approaches to what was going on in our community, not what was going on in New York or what was going on in Phoenix, but what was going on in Chandler. And I think I remember in one meeting looking to Chief Dwiggins and saying, you know, we need to be able to bottle that up and share that with our community. And I think you may have started to see a lot more communication coming out from various groups, including the chamber, about what we're doing to get through this. The other thing is that, you know, during the demonstrations, to see the way that the community rallied around not only the demonstrators, but our police chief, our police force, and the leadership from our police was tremendous. And so I drove by downtown. I was coming from a campaign event. I drove by downtown when one of the demonstrations was going on, and I saw people getting a selfie with our police. And so that's a story that I'll never forget, because that's a testament to the community policing that has been going on for years in Chandler. And we've got work to do. And I know that mayor and council are committed to making sure that the resources are provided to our fire and our police department so they can continue to do the great things that they are. So to follow those 2 gentlemen, I'm very humbled because they're what true servant leadership is. They lead tremendous teams of people that make our community safe. And so that's why Chandler is what Chandler is. I'm just honored to be here, Terry. I'm way better at answering questions, but I will tell you this. Mayor and Council is as committed as ever to making sure that we rebound both financially and from a health perspective. We are gathering data. We're making the best educated decisions. Like, I know it's sort of cliche today, but there's no playbook for this. Like I tell my son this, like if you practice something, and my family's over my shoulder here, it's why I do everything I do. But if you practice something, you get better at it. There was no practice for this. And the way that our police and fire and staff at the city and the Chandler Chamber and the business owners have all risen up and sort of just locked arms in this whole thing has been tremendous. And I think moving forward from this, Chandler is going to be even stronger than before. So I'm very optimistic about our future in Chandler, and I'm very optimistic about the leadership that's on this screen today. And I'm just grateful to be just a tiny part of that. So thanks very much. And then I also have to let you know, and I'm going to show my wife, Allison, sitting here right next to me. So, yes, we're both working from home. She's got the little dog. We got to hold her so she doesn't bark. So anyway, thank you for having me, and I'm going to answer any questions you might have.
How do you balance running 3 businesses, coaching, supporting nonprofits, serving on city council, and then also putting family first?
That's a great question. You just do it, right? It fits my why. I mean, serving in public office fits my why. You know, answering difficult questions, communicating with our chiefs about what I can do to help. We don't always get it right. I don't get it right in business every time, but I'm definitely 100% committed. And I think that I enjoy it. You have to enjoy it in order to move forward. And I think everybody on this panel today enjoys what they do. And I think that's why Chandler is the community that it is. So.
Great. Well, congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Terry.
Gilbert, are you still on here from Rita's Burritos? I know this is lunchtime for you. Gilbert, I know he was on at the beginning.
I think he signed off.
Okay, we'll hopefully get him back. He must have had a lunch run. But I do want to make sure that we acknowledge him because Rita's Burritos, if you have not had their food, shame on you. You need to run down there right. But I'm going to come back to him because hopefully he'll be able to join us. Now let's jump to our 2 nonprofits because both of these groups do amazing, amazing work here in our community. And first, Ted, we're going to start with you with ICANN. Ted is the CEO of Empowering Breakthrough and Community Programs Manager at ICANN. And Ted's career path has shaped him by his childhood experiences and the people who have supported him. There were mental health and substance abuse challenges in his family that led him into the foster care system for a period in his life. Ted has made a career of helping people. He has worked as a police officer and a pastor while leading multiple task force and coalitions. He serves as the ICANN's community programs manager, Positive Programs for Youth, where he empowers teens, parents, and community members with hope, resiliency, and success tools. And I will tell you, Ted, your work at ICANN and what you're doing, talking to any of the kids over there, they all talk about you. They love you. You're infectious. But we don't want you to get too big of a head. But
it's the hair modeling.
But the impact that you are making on our future youth is incredible. So what experience, because you've had a diverse background, talk a little bit about that and how you got to be where you're at.
Well, Terry, thank you for allowing me to join and be a part of this, and it sure is an honor, especially in the presence of all of these amazing men. So thank you. You know, at first I have to say I thought my dork factor was going to come across because I have these corded earpieces, but then I saw David, and I went, yeah. I just went from dork to amazing. So thank you, David.
Oh no, I'm a dork. I appreciate
that. And you know, the other thing I just want to say really quick before I answer that, I do have the opportunity to know most of the men here. I really enjoyed that between the two chiefs. Thank you guys. I mean, most of the time in person, you can't have a mute button, but I was back there saying stuff. It just wouldn't come across. But anyway, so I appreciate that from both of you chiefs, and you're doing amazing jobs out there. I was also saying amen. So anyway, back to, you asked me a question. Let's see if I can answer that. You know, I think that all of us have a story, and you know, my story, you know, has its own, you know, dynamics to it, and the experiences I had as a youngster, you know, I experienced foster homes and different types of family challenges. It was the people and the individuals, the coaches, the teachers, the faith-based individuals, the mentors that I was able to experience and engage with. And it was the way that a lot of them were able to interact with me that created the relationship and really helped for a deeper learning. So it's something that was impactful. You know, the saying is, you might not remember everything somebody says, but you'll remember how you've been treated. So, you know, that kind of transforms. And I was really fortunate to spend 20 years in law enforcement, even though I think I'm one of the younger ones here too, I will say. And a law enforcement career in itself is an amazing experience, especially when done the way that Chief was expressing, how you come alongside a community, how you do community, how you protect it and serve. You know, it just was an amazing experience once again to be able to receive and experience life with other individuals. And then I was really blessed to be able to go to Sunshine Acres Children's Home in East Mesa and step into pastoring and become a licensed pastor and then direct their children's services. And when you and Sunshine Acres Children's Home is, at any given time, they probably, you know, can have up to 100 children, adolescents, and teenagers that are separated from their families, and it's a house parent model. So we all live together. We all lived in that community. We're multi-denominational, and you know, you do life together. You counsel. You teach. You grow. You experience things together. And that was such an amazing opportunity to just once again, I think experience how to do life and how to support, how to empower and be empowered. These last few years, I think I've been with ICANN for 6 years now, 6 or 7. I've got to count. I've got to go back and take off my shoes. Anyway, once again, such an amazing place that already had a footprint in the community that already had been established. and the work that we get to do with the Chandler Unified School District, the opportunities there, in experiencing this collaboration. The other part of ICANN that I get to do is I get to facilitate, you know, multi-sectional task force that has about 12 different sectors in it and 30 different components, from law enforcement to faith-based to school to youth serving. And you know, when the chief says that this is a city, and you know, and I retired from Mesa, and I love Mesa, I love the department. But when the chief says that Chandler is a city that embraces collaboration and that is really set up to be engaging and to be empowering, you know, I second that. That is probably one of the, I think the biggest, what I want to say, it gives me the opportunity to just do my little part in collaboration with everybody else. So that's kind of my story on that. And I really, once again, it's just an honor and a privilege. And I thank you for taking some time to allow me to come on here and have some fun.
Well, Ted, thank you for all you do. And I am a huge supporter of Shelby and her team and what you are doing here for our youth and our community. And you're right, it is about the collaboration, because it wouldn't happen if all of us weren't working together, whether it's the schools, the nonprofits, the city, police, fire, the business community. It's really what makes it happen. So thank you so much.
And if I can, really quick, I don't see Tom there, so maybe this is a good thing. But I just wanted to pass on that our Mesa football team beat their team. But that, I'm just leave it right there.
Just an aside.
Okay, Dr. Gilbert.
If anything will bring him back on, that'll do it.
Oh, we had to let you have some type of win, because we have everything else.
Yes. Chandler speaks for itself.
There you go. Congratulations. Our next one is Garrett. Garrett is the executive director of the Valley of the Sun United Way. And Garrett, you know, since you came here to Chandler, that the YMCA is near and dear to my heart. And when you first came here, your infectious spirit and what you were doing with the youth and even with your team was pretty amazing. But you've always wanted to help others, and you and your sister were both raised by a single mother, and you saw the hardships that she struggled with. That later inspired you to work for the YMCA to help support as many families as you could. Outside of work, I know that you volunteer for the 4R City Chandler and is on the board of the Chandler Rotary and contributes to the mission of the Family Advisory Council for Phoenix Children's Hospital. You are also a brand new parent. That should have been on here as your glowing moment. So congratulations, Garrett, and thank you for joining us. You have been a great example in showing how adversity really builds character. How has your experience enabled you to shape our future, and especially for leaders, for future leaders through your role at the Y?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Terry. And first and foremost, I appreciate being on here and just really humbled to be part of this amazing group of men. And thank you, Joyce, and your team for the nomination. Yeah, for me, and you touched on me being a father and kind of going through adversity. And I think that has really defined me a lot as a person and defined my family. My daughter, who's 2.5 now, she was born with a really rare heart condition. And she had 2 open heart surgeries within her first 6 months of life. And any parent that's gone through any hardship with their children knows that there's a lot of really trying moments in that. And my incredible wife and I, we balance each other out so well. And she, you know, when at times she worries deeply, I have a level of optimism and hope. And but she goes down into the details on some things that I might not. And so we really balance each other well. But I think for me, you know, working in a nonprofit environment is really challenging, right? You're always trying to do more with less, because the more that you can do with the less amount of resources, it means that the more that you can pass on to a person or family that needs it. And so as I work with my team, it's helping them understand how their abilities and their power can move that to a family who really needs it. And you touched on my mom, and my mom was a single mother, and we didn't have the Y in our life when I was growing up. And I saw her work as a special educator for still working for 44 years now, and working multiple jobs on the side as well. And just watching her lead us as a family with doing all that she could to support us and raise us the right way means everything to me. And so, you know, passing that on to the Y, you know, our families that we serve are looking for hope and optimism as well. And they're looking to get their kids in every program just like any other kid. And it doesn't matter about their financial ability. And that's really special. And just one quick thing is at the Y, we say that you can have the best day and the hardest day in the same day. And it's really true. Dr. Gilbert and I work together with our iLearn program, helping secondary ed students achieve their diploma through our online classrooms here at the Y. And, we could see a student graduate in a day and celebrate them like crazy. And then the next moment be sitting with a single mother who is fleeing a domestic abuse situation and still looking to support her children in our summer camp programs and such. And so it's really challenging, the work that we do for sure, but it is the most rewarding career path I could ever imagine.
Wow, you give me goosebumps when you guys talk about it. It is all about the community collaboration. Garrett, I want you to take this time just because I have you here and I love you dearly, but talk a little bit. We are going into summer season, drowning season. Can you talk about the program? Because what you're doing with that is so incredible and it touches every aspect of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you asking about that. So drowning prevention is a huge piece of what the Y stands for, a huge part of our mission. If you didn't know, Arizona is the second leading state in the country in accidental drowning deaths for children ages 1 to 4. And I've been a lifeguard and lifeguard instructor in my career. And one thing I know is that just about every drowning is preventable. And especially for children ages 1 to 4, they really can't help themselves. And it's really dependent on our adults to be watching our children around water. And so we actually have this amazing program, and actually I'm going to grab it for just a second. It is our Water Watcher program.
He didn't know I was
right?
going to do this.
And so we have a really amazing Water Watcher program where we put this lanyard on people, and they're the designated water watcher to keep your children safe around water. And the other really special thing that we've been doing for years at the Y is free safety around water lessons for children and families that don't know how to swim. Now, a lot of that has changed with everything COVID related, but I'm really proud to say that we have successfully restarted swimming lessons at the Y. Some things are changed. There's lowered capacities of programs. Our instructors are wearing face shields. For different ages that we used to not have this, we're asking parents to get in the water to keep the children safe. So there is a lot of changes, but it is so core to our mission that we said within the first 30 days of us reopening, if we can safely do this, we need to make sure that families are safe because so many people staying home, and especially those who have pools in their home or in the community, it's a really big liability. So this is really important to us, and I appreciate the platform to just connect on that.
Sorry, you didn't know. Anybody who knows me, I'll just throw it out at you. I do want to ask, we had a question come in. We know that there are a lot of ups and downs in every sector. What is the best part of everybody's career that keeps the motivation and keeps them going? Brandon, I'm going to start with you. What keeps you going?
It's knowing that, every day is different and knowing that, you can still keep moving on and make an impact. I think no matter how bad things are, there's good to be seen in the community and good to be seen in our business. And it's focusing on that good and not letting yourself necessarily always focus on that bad.
Peter, what keeps you going? You're on mute.
I was joking, saying all the people that I borrowed money from. That's what keeps me going. So I just love new things. I like watching something go from an idea to, from concept to completion. I know that's Mark Stewart's company's name, but that's always been the driving factor in my wife and I when we do business. See something go from an idea to completion, and that's a certain high. It's never about the dollars. It's always about that look and feel and being a part of it. So that's what keeps me going. Thank you.
Great. And Garrett, what keeps you going?
Yeah, just seeing the diversity of families that we serve, seeing the smiles on our kids' faces, but most importantly, my staff and watching them serve others just like we know that we should is really special. So just kind of all of that in a day makes it really special.
Ted, what keeps you going?
I think it has to seeing the amazing ability of people to overcome, that each day brings something new, and the hope coming to life and becoming a reality that just is displayed in front of you. Just the amazing power of people, human spirit, and human kindness. And this is such an opportunity for that.
Dr. Gilbert.
It's even though we don't see it all the time in my profession, is to know that we're doing something every day that's going to make a difference in someone's life. And we may not ever see it, but we know that it's happening.
Well, and I will tell you, I'm not an employee of the Chandler Schools, but out and about, I am so proud with my colleagues and so forth when I can continually talk about the quality of education that we have here in our community. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
David Speck.
What keeps it? We're closing. We can't do this anymore. We need money. Please, God, help us. We are done. We give up. We're done. No, we've always loved to innovate. I tell the staff, we have weekly meetings with our staff and our performers, and I say, nothing's easy. Opening a comedy club is the hardest thing in the world, so this shouldn't be that hard. So I just always say we can do anything. Every challenge is an opportunity, and we've innovated. We've had fun. Yeah, there's still challenges ahead, but like I said, opening a comedy club is the hardest thing I've ever done. So this we can do.
Wow. Thank you so much. I just want to do a shout out to all the panelists. I know a couple of them couldn't join us today due to commitments because we're all living in crazy times, but I want to thank those of you that were able to give us your time, whether you're here for the full time or not. And I know Councilmember Stewart, I just got a text, he had to jump off. He's on the National League of Cities Economic Development team, and they were doing a thing right at the same time. So we need him to hear our voice in Washington as well. But you men are absolutely amazing, and I am so proud to have each and every one of you in this honor that Joyce and her team have bestowed upon you. It really makes me proud, and I'm so happy to have you here in Chandler, so thank you. Lisa, I'm turning this one back over to you.
I'm on mute there. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. So I'm just going to say you men did not disappoint. Last year was amazing. This is just amazing. I will say that there's a common thread, if we can kind of tie, no pun intended, tie this all together, but amongst you, family values, your humbleness is just so touching as leaders of men and men of the community. Thank you. Your passion across the board, especially David Speck over there. I've been following you, David. Now I know you. I'll be in touch. You're a funny man. Yeah. Community service, and multiple times community service with others centered, so thank you. And then servant leadership, and I think that it was one of the chiefs that said, erase the negativity and look for the good, and I think that that's a thread that all of you men have, so thank you very much. It was great to hear from you, so thank you. And so moving on to, so again, thank you to all the Women in Leadership Committee members. Thanks so much for putting this together. There will be a survey. Mia, is that going to be, yep, it's right there. So there is a survey in the comment section. So please do fill that out. The committee does look at all of those every single month. We are here to serve you. So let us know what you thought about this event. I'm sure all of your remarks are going to be fantastic, and let us know what you would like to see. Also, if you are interested in participating on the Women in Leadership Committee, we do have a handful of spots open. So if you've shown interest in the past, please show interest again, whether that's through me, any of the other committee members, or the Chandler Chamber staff too. They can help you there. And then lastly, the Chandler Chamber is an award-winning active chamber. If you'd like to learn more about everything the Chandler Chamber does, please visit the website at www.chandlerchamber.com. And I'll just say personally, being part of the Chandler Chamber community for 3 years now, gosh, they are so active, even when we're doing it here on Zoom. So get excited, get involved. So our next month's meeting, our gathering, will host top industry experts and we'll listen to them and get their advice on how to grow business during this kind of difficult time. So thank you once again. Good to see you. We all look forward to seeing you, hopefully at Soho very soon. So take care of yourselves, be healthy, and be kind to each other. Thank you.
Thank you.